Today, we'll try to understand ourselves better by understanding what causes suffering and afflictions within us. Also, I will give you one simple mindful exercise which will help you reduce that. So stay tuned. So today's topic is understanding the self to understand the causes of suffering. So how do we understand this? Let's understand how our mind works and how it processes things. We have 5 sense organs which feeds data into our brain. Our 5 sense organs are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting and touching. It pretty much works the same way as modern IoT smart sensors work in our smart homes. These sense organs smell something, hear something, see something and then feeds that data into our mind. So what we need to understand that even though every human being would have these 5 sense organs, the way they perceive it would be different. So even if you and me listen to the same talk, we would take away different things from it. Even if you and me read the same book, we would take away different things from it and might have completely different perspective from it. That's what causes all the confusion in this world. Not only that, what I perceive and what you perceive could be completely different. So if I am colorblind and if you are not, then even if what you see could be different from what I see. If I keep my eyes closed and if I put a vegetable in your hand, what I perceive with my eyes closed could be an orange, or for you it could be a tomato, but in reality it could be something else. This all comes from 4 different aspects of the mind. So let's understand the mind. What are the 4 things? So this is again based on the Vedic knowledge. The Vedic knowledge says there are 4 aspects of the mind. First is manas, which is the mind, and this is more like a RAM or temporary storage memory based off borrowed knowledge. Second is chitta, which is the subconscious mind. This is our hard drive where all the storage based on our previous knowledge is stored. Third is buddhi, which is the discriminatory mind. This is the faculty which defines and differentiates between you and me or me and not me. Fourth is ahamkara, and that is the I-ness or the ego sense. And these are the 4 faculties based on the mind concludes anything that it does. So let's go through this again. First, manas, the mind, the borrowed knowledge. Second, chitta, the subconscious mind, the storage memory. Third, buddhi, which is the discriminatory mind. And fourth, ahamkara, the I-ness. So let's understand this with an example. So let's say a bull is coming towards you. Now the manas and the chitta, the memory and the memory based on borrowed knowledge and the subconscious mind, what does it do? It says that the bull is dangerous. Bull kills people. The buddhi, the discriminatory force, then understands and shouts that there is the bull and then there is me. There's bull and then there's me. The I-ness, the ahamkara, says the bull is coming to me. The bull is coming to kill me. So now you can see that even though you might be sitting outside the fence, your mind is processing that the bull is coming to kill me. Even though there might be a person wearing red clothes, waving red flag towards the bull, and it might be completely going towards it, but your mind is processing and will process it in a way where it thinks the bull will come towards me and it will kill me. And that is where that fear gets born. We've talked about the 4 aspects of the brain, but there is one more which is beyond the brain, which is called the pure intelligence. And every human being has this pure intelligence. It just gets crowded or clouded by these 4 aspects of the brain. And so the process of meditation is essentially making the effects of these 4 aspects of brain low, so the pure intelligence can rise and it can live, and you can live with much more clarity in life. Think of this like a bowl which is full of soil, and you are waving it or moving your hands in it, and so what happens is you can see the dust but you can't see the surface of the bowl. So when you let it settle, when you stop that moment, you will start seeing the surface. And that is what we need to do. We need to stop the mental modifications, the mental waves, so it can settle and the pure intelligence can rise. So if we take that same example of the bowl and the soil, if we take that same example in a scenario of lake, what happens is when that bunch of soil stays in one place for a long time, it turns itself into a pebble, and the pebble becomes much stronger. And that is like our human character. If we believe in something for very long, it becomes so strong that it loses its flexibility, it becomes rigid, and it starts believing that is the absolute truth. And that could be very basic things like, I only like this, I don't like that, I am this kind of a person. We start narrowing ourselves down, we start making ourselves more rigid by constantly defining ourselves by saying we are this or we are that. And these characters that we build are called samskaras, individual characteristics. Now the process of meditation again is to slowly melt this away, start melting this away to understand and realize our true self. These characteristics could be hereditary, could be forced upon you from childhood, you could have built it yourself for your own good at a certain point in time, or it could be of past lives. It could be any of those things. It doesn't matter how we've got there. We have to accept ourselves where we are, how we are, and go from there. We have to accept whether it's anger, whether it's sorrow, whether it's complaining nature, whether it's jealousy, whatever it is, greed, whatever it is. We need to fully accept what we are, take responsibility for it, and make progress from there. So in order to be more meditative, we need to understand the fivefold mental modifications or thought waves that comes in our mind. So it's right knowledge, wrong knowledge, past memories, future fantasy or delusions that we have, and dream or sleep. So if you go back or if you start observing your thoughts, it should be one of these five kinds: right knowledge, wrong knowledge, past memory, future thoughts, fantasy or delusions, and dream or sleep. And each of these five thought waves are of two kinds: painful or pleasurable, essentially good or bad. You should not associate yourself with either of them. Both should be looked equally. Whether it's painful or pleasurable, both should be looked equally as a temporary experience. These five mental modifications can be reduced in two key ways. One is sadhana, which is practice, and the second is non-attachment. Whether you are meditating, deep breathing, repeating mantras or affirmations, all of them are a form of practice, and they should have three key qualities. They should be done for a long time. They should be uninterrupted. That means 7 days a week, same time, same place ideally. And thirdly, it should have earnest devotion or faith in it. In terms of non-attachment, it should be of going away from the materialistic and going towards the spiritual. So now that we understand the five mental modifications, what happens is, once we start reducing this five mental modification, we go into the stage of five mental afflictions or kleshas, which is the cause of suffering. So reducing those mental modification will lead to the reduction of affliction or suffering, and this afflictions is what causes karmas or new karma. So this is all interrelated, and we must understand now the fivefold afflictions which causes karmas. So constant practice of disassociation and non-attachment will lead to desirelessness. It will lead you towards more spiritual life and less of the material. To achieve that, you need meditation, right breathing techniques, and one-pointedness towards achieving it. So let's understand the whole cycle. We need to give one-pointed focus and concentration using our meditative techniques. This conscious and constant practice leads to disassociation and non-attachment, which in turn leads to desirelessness. Desirelessness in turn will reduce the fivefold afflictions or sufferings, which builds karmas or creates fivefold mental modifications or thought waves. As we'll start seeing pleasurable or painful experiences as just a temporary experience, mental modifications will reduce. You will become more still and steady. This will lead to mind thinking less about the I-ness, the borrowed knowledge, the subconscious knowledge. It will lead to the rise of pure intelligence within you. It is this union which leads to everlasting joy and bliss, which is often known as self-realization, God realization, or enlightenment. So this is the whole philosophical aspect of the meditative technique, and this whole process helps us understand or improves our meditation as we understand the whys by understanding how this whole process within us functions. There are many stages of enlightenment. Some experiences in a temporary way, some in a long-lasting way. Enlightenment in essence is clearing of your doubt in the simplest way, clearing of ignorance or wrong knowledge to the right knowledge. And that could be experienced in a small way or a big way in many different stages at different times and moments of your life. There are 8 limbs of yoga, all of which are essential and should be learned. All this that I've talked about today is from Patanjali Yoga Sutras. So I would highly recommend everyone to read that book. And we will also cover the 8 limbs of yoga in a separate video. If you have to take away one thing from this, one mindfulness exercise from this video is stop associating yourself with any of your thoughts, things, name tags, anything. Just stop associating yourself with everything or anything that's around you and feel the difference. And in terms of practice, you should practice deep breathing or meditative spinal breathing, which should be for a long time, uninterrupted, and should be practiced with earnest devotion. So set aside 45 minutes every day for 7 days a week. Same time, same place, same visualizations, activating all the 5 sense organs and working towards one pointed goal, towards peace and joy. The more eager and energetic believer we are, the faster we get there. So hope this video was insightful. For many more insightful videos like this, please like, share and subscribe. Until next time.